morning and welcome to the Author's Corner. This is the place in which we talk about and focus on those things that we feature in the literacy magazine. It's called Lit. Taking center stage and owning it with me this morning in the Author's Corner is my one and only contributing writer, Teresa Palmer. She is here with me this morning. It's going to be us today. And so today we're focusing on busy professionals and entrepreneurs who are working, either they're considering a book project or they're currently working on a book project. And we just want our words to inspire you. And so we're talking about different ways that you can stay focused, handle time management of your book project, and things of that nature to reach your goal. And so I know for me, and then I'm going to pivot to you, Teresa. I know for me, one thing that has been my saving grace is always creating lists. Lists help me to, one, identify those things that I need to accomplish. And then also, two, to be able to prioritize them. And then also to make sure they're measurable. When you create a list, it gives you measurability to see how you're progressing. And so for me, those lists are heavenly. Oh my God. And they help me to know that I'm staying on point or on task. And they help me to feel good when I accomplish them. I am very task driven. So when I can check something off, it is a high motivator for me. It inspires me because it tells me that I've gotten something off of that list and that list is easing up. And so, Teresa, that's my bulk of how I really attack it in a general sense. Share with the audience, how do you, because you have a busy schedule, I know that you are always on our platform, but just give them, since it's just you and I, give them a little brief introduction of the work that you do, because that's going to tell them how you're balancing what you're doing and you're doing your own current book project. So share with our audience.
Yes, I'm Teresa Palmer. I'm a holistic cardiology nurse practitioner. And by that, I mean I'm the bridge between Eastern philosophy, Eastern medicine, metaphysics, and traditional cardiac Western care. So my work revolves around my patients. I'm in the process of transitioning, which means that I am looking to give my message out to more than just my group of patients. Because right now, what it's always been is I work in a cardiology practice, had patients. They're the ones that got the benefit of what I was teaching. Now I'm looking to expand that and to really go out more into the world, because I think now that the world is changing. And I think we see that. And it's a good thing that the world is changing. I really believe that the world is getting us to be more self sufficient instead of relying on things outside ourselves. And that could be government, that could be anything, any type of organization. It's coming back to us because we're into Aquarius, and Aquarius is more about individual and group, but it's about taking things into yourself. So I would like my message to be out there to help people, because I do a program called Heart Consciousness, and it's really about giving your heart the attention it deserves. And I've been doing it for almost 30 years. And when you do it for somebody else, it just becomes a part of what I always thought the cardiology practice was, that you not only give people traditional cardiac care, and by that I mean the medications, Western medicine, procedures, things like that. They're all important. And I'm not negating any of that. But there's also a piece of getting people to know themselves, to make that connection to their heart. Because in all honesty, we're in our minds and our heads. We're not in our hearts. And in 30 years of practice, I could count on one hand the number of patients that actually paid attention to their heart before something was amiss or before something went wrong. It's only then that the heart gets the attention it deserves. Well, it's not to say that you can't then deal with that. But 90% of heart disease is avoidable by self care, paying attention to yourself and that self awareness. And we don't have that because we're not connected to our heart. It's not our fault. It's a fault of everything around us. It's how we're conditioned. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's how we're taught to be. Be logical, listen to your mind, get in your head. Oh, your heart is emotional. Oh, your heart is this, your heart is that. We don't give it the attention it deserves. So that's why I wrote Heal Your Heart from Within.
Mhm.
And it was a way of me, especially in 2020, getting the message out there because I could see, I think one of the wonderful things about 2020 was it really flipped how we were doing things. And it really put the emphasis on individuals. And I think people began to realize that they had to know more, whether it be looking things up, but knowing more even about themselves and being able to take care of themselves, to protect themselves, and to discern what information they wanted to take in and utilize and what information they wanted to look at and say, "Oh, well, that's not for me." So that's why I wrote the book. Now I'm starting to expand that. I'm in the process of writing the Heart Consciousness program, which is all about breath, be still. It's breathe, be still, and connect. And within that, there's certain things that we do. And I teach people, I give them the knowledge and I give them the tools, and then they could go out there and be confident in taking care of themselves. And that's really what self empowerment is. And to me, your personal power resides in your heart because that's your inner knowing, that's your connection to a higher power. And it doesn't matter what you call that higher power, it has nothing to do with religious beliefs, with anything. It just has to do with the fact that you look at Alcoholics Anonymous, you look at what is it, with drugs and eating and all, and they tell you, turn yourself over to a higher power. There's something out there that's higher than we are, that once we connect to that, we then are more empowered to help ourselves.
Mhm.
So I'm working on a new book and a book proposal. And when you said about lists, to me, I'm not detail oriented. You would think in my profession I am. I get everything done, but I'm not always A, B, C, D. But I found that when I'm in the midst of writing a book proposal, which should be done today, and I'm going to submit it to a publisher. And I found that once I got involved with the book proposal, it tells you exactly what you need to write. Who's your audience? We need a niche audience. It's not enough for me to say anybody with a heart condition could read my book. Yes, sure, they could, and it'll help them. But, my niche audience, I would like to be women 40 and older who have a heart condition or who don't have a heart condition but are interested in combining some Eastern complementary practices with traditional cardiac care. So it's both. Let's do complementary and let's do traditional. So through the book proposal, it asks you, you have to justify, why are you picking a certain audience? You have to look at other books on the shelves and say, how is my book similar, but how is my book also different? Why is there room for my book on the shelf with these
Right.
other books? What am I saying that's a little bit more unique? Because that's what it's all about. It's about our uniqueness, and we all have a message to give to the world. And it's how we present that message and how people resonate with us that determines whether or not they get the message or they decide that you're not the person for them. So, a book proposal, you do an overview, you do a marketing strategy. How are you going to market your book? 80% now of marketing is up to the individual, it's not up to the publisher anymore, unless you've written the New York Times bestseller like a Harry Potter, something where you're very well known,
Mhm.
where you have a huge audience, and then the publisher will really promote you. But for the rest of us, it's up to us. So we have to know a marketing plan. What are you going to do? And what am I going to do to promote my book? How am I going to do that? How am I going to use the resources that I have? And that's what the book proposal does. It gives you a whole overview. It's almost like a list. It's like, why am I writing this book? How am I going to
Exactly.
market this book? What is my author's platform? Do people know me? It doesn't matter if they don't. It's what am I going to do? Like, how do I utilize? You say I'm always on your platform. Yeah, I am.
Yeah, and that, why
I
not? If
am. But
it's
there's,
available, you take advantage of that. That makes
it's
sense.
it's another way of getting the message out. And I would be foolish not to take advantage of platforms because you have an audience. You
Yeah.
have people that may just click on it and say, what is this about? And people get to know you through the platforms that you're on. So I think it's very important to have that visibility. I think it's also very important to discriminate between how you want to do things, not just put yourself out there globally, but find platforms and find social media, find communities where it's like-minded people. And for me, the self-development, self-awareness, Own It is about
Yeah.
taking ownership for yourself. So yes, it's an appropriate platform for me. If
Yes.
it was about selling real estate, then it wouldn't be, it wouldn't be appropriate if
As I
everybody on it were real estate and looking
right.
to move someplace. That's not what I do. So I know I'm a little long-winded, but I'm hope I'm giving
Listen,
information that people could
Teresa,
really sink their teeth into.
right. And this is what I've been saying over and over and over again for the last, I think, week or maybe 2 weeks. We're philosophers. We are philosophers. So philosophers speak. We are speaking wisdom. We're speaking awakening, right? We're stirring things up for people to get active and move towards a place of fulfillment. So you know, it's nothing for us. I remember when I first started going on live, and I went live solely on Facebook because it was all new to me. And I could go live just talking by myself for an hour, because philosophers do that. We're talking about what's going on in the now. What do the people, the masses, need to hear now? So by all means, see, when it's only the two of us, we won't have to worry about how long because it's the two of us. But I want to do this. I want to show the people who you are. And so here is Teresa Palmer, and as she shared with you her background, I want to talk about this award that you received, Teresa. Then I also want to go into the book that you've already published, which is here. Let the people see it. Heal Your Heart from Within. And here she is with her banner. This is New York City, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it's right across from the Hard Rock Cafe. And I was literally up there for a week. And that was part of an award that I received. And in 2000, was it 2020? Yeah, I was Nurse Practitioner of the Year. And actually, that was taken in New York a week before the world closed down. It
Wow.
was Valentine's Day. And that
Wow.
was part of my award was going to New York, not only to receive the award, but to be on that marquee. There were
Mm.
photographers, had pictures taken, then went to the plaza to have a celebratory lunch with the other honorees. And it was different categories. So it's the International Association of Top Professionals. And they are top professionals in every walk of life throughout the world. So you've got them in real estate, you have them as coaches, nurses. So I was recognized for not only my leadership in nursing, but my holistic approach. I also then went on to receive the Holistic Practitioner Decade of the Year Award. And I've also been inducted into the Hall of Fame for Lifetime Achievement. So
Wow.
it's
Wow.
been quite an honor.
Yeah, and yeah, I just want them to see who you are, because people need to know. Like so many times, those accomplishments and those achievements are behind the scenes, and sometimes you just gotta throw them up there and let folks know. And so you talk about you hit on that emotional thing. And one of the things as I was growing up as a kid, I've always been an advocate for the underdog. I've always been a fighter for the one who not necessarily knows how to fight for themselves. And so the biggest thing that I noticed coming up in my teens and 20s, being in the adult world, was always that thing of being emotional. You're too emotional, you're too emotional, you're too emotional. Um, Instead of us really understanding that the driver of our behavior is how we feel about something. We make our choices based on our emotions. If we can harness it, we then bring it into balance. That we can be passionate, but also grounded in wisdom and in intellect, and therefore making a quality decision. And that's what it means to own it, is to be well informed, to be knowing of thyself, and to be well informed. And like you said, Teresa, that we can introduce, this perspective, we can introduce our methodology, but at the end of the day, just like every author has to do the PR work for themselves, everyone who hears what we say and says, wow, they have an aha moment, you still have to do the work. And that's what's so important, is that you love yourself enough to do the work. And how can you do that? You have to seek out those people who are like-minded like yourself, but not like-minded where they're not going to hold you accountable, right? Where they're just going to let you do whatever. No, they're going to love you enough to let you know when you're off course and
Yeah.
be there enough to bring you back in to alignment. And I say that to say the way that you stay motivated, the way that you nurture your spirit, that emotional part, is by knowing what feeds your spirit, right? So for me, I love Christian rap, because I'm that one that the messaging has to say, I win. That even though I go through trials, tribulations, and all this other stuff, I'm going to win in the end. And win doesn't mean looking perfect. It doesn't mean coming out without challenges. It means that whatever happens, I'm going to learn and grow from it. Whatever happens, that I'm going to stay the course and reach my goal. That's what that means. And so I love music. I love worship music. I love music. I love the dance. I love the laugh. So I'm going to nurture my spirit, man, with those things that cause me to be inspirational, to cause me to feel supernatural, right? So that I can do all things, right? Because I need that in order to maintain focus. And sometimes we allow ourselves to be around environments that cause us to be grounded, right? You got to think realistic. You got to be okay. Listen, you already know how to be realistic. What you have to do is know that you can finish, that you can start something and you can finish, because life is always going to be happening. Because remember, we're talking to the busy professional and the busy entrepreneur who is trying to get this book done. Well, guess what? You got to be able to leap. You got to be able to leap, dip, duck, dive, and jump so that you can still get it done, because you can get it done. Teresa just shared with you, cardiology is not simple. Dealing with people being in medical field. These folks work 90, depending on how they're showing up and what their jobs are. They work 90 hours a week. I remember driving Uber and Lyft, and someone said to me, because I told them that I remember the first year I drove Uber and Lyft, I made $85,000. $85,000. And someone said, well, you had to really drive a lot. Yeah. Well, guess what? When I worked for Princeton University, I was working day and night, going in early, leaving late. So if you calculate it, I'm still doing the same 65 probably hours a week that I did driving. But I made more money driving than I made there. And also, too, when I worked for AT&T, I was there in the nighttime. And my little brother Jamal will tell you, I was there overnight. Getting calls for papers, because I work for the research and development side when I first got there, doing calls for papers. Those are research papers. You got 3,000 call for papers. You got to compile that. You got the symposium, the conference, and all that other stuff. So guess what? The busy professional is working those amount of hours. When you are deciding to do a book and it's your book, now it's time to say, you got to put all of those hours in for you, not another organization, not another company. This is about you, and you got to do the work, and it's doable. It's what you put around you that's going to reinforce the fact that you can get it done and that you are invincible. You got to believe that. Resilience comes from believing that you are invincible, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you get a setback, I love what the Bible says. Though a man falls 7 times, a righteous man knows to get back up. You got to know to get back up. Even if you miss that detailed list, it's okay. This is not about perfection. This is about making sure you finish, but finish with quality. It's also about making sure you enjoy the journey. I want you to make sure that you enjoy this. Guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it flows the issues of life. Guard enjoying it. I just moved into a new space and I had someone say, Maurice, I wish you had furniture. I said, well, guess what? I'm planning for a bunch of people to come here to DR. I'm not going to enjoy buying furniture. So I'm good with my blow up bed, because when I'm done, I'm going to get the bed of my dreams. So sometimes we have to have sacrifice. Focus on what's really important at the moment and not all the other details, so that you make sure that you enjoy it. The furniture's come, because let me tell you something. I know how to decorate. Now, when you're somebody who just wants to put stuff in the room, by all means, just buy whatever. But see, I like to enjoy the moment. I like to enjoy what I do. So I slow myself down so that I can really, really connect with the experience. And that's what we need to start doing. Start making sure that you are with your heart, connecting to your goals, to the things that you want to accomplish in life, so that you make sure that you have a quality experience, that you learn and grow, and that you invite. So if you are a mom, if you're a dad, if you're an auntie, sister, brother, whatever, start including those in the process of what you're accomplishing. Share what your goal is with what you're working on. And when you include people, teamwork makes the dream work. You're gonna have to probably get some of those folks out that are like, what? Why are you doing that? Not to have that conversation with them. But those who are gonna come in and foster that support system that you need, you're gonna have to seek them out and see in your family, in your connections, who are the ones that are going to rally for you? Who are the ones that are going to feed and fuel you? And stick with those and keep them updated, because they want you to succeed. They want to see you do great things. And so do just that. And so listen, Teresa's working on a new project. We're going to show you her current book that's out there. You can get it on Amazon, Heal Your Heart from Within. It's so important for us to gain back control over our lives by being educated, not with just Googling and TikTok. Do the work to make sure you're getting quality information, getting it from quality and qualified individuals. And so, Teresa, I'm going to pivot back to you and just share with the folks in regards to this project that you're working on. How can they buy Heal Your Heart from Within? How can they get that book? And then your closing thoughts. You can close us right on out, sis.
Okay. Okay. Heal Your Heart from Within is published by Balboa Press. It's been out since 2022, and it can also be found on Amazon.com. And I like to say that, yes, it's a self-help book, but it's really about giving you your self-empowerment. And the project I'm working on is actually expanding on that into a more comprehensive, going into things that I didn't go into in the first book because I wanted it simple. I didn't want it for healthcare professionals. I want it for people to be able to understand. And, now that I'm doing another project, I have to be disciplined. So you have to find time. I always tell people there's you could always find time for something that you really want. Like I've had patients, clients tell me, "Oh, I don't have time for this." "Oh, you want me to meditate for 5 minutes a day?" "Well, you have to understand I don't have time for this." "Well, yes, you do if it's important for you."
Right.
Because we always, if it means getting up 5 minutes earlier because something's important. So when you're writing a book and you're writing a proposal, for my proposal, I had to do a video. So before I came on here, I went outside to my gazebo, set everything up, and did my video. It came out perfectly, so now I don't have to do it again. But I had to set aside that time because it has to get done. So there's other things I have to do that was important. With writing, I believe that you have to set aside time every day. And it doesn't matter what you write, just write. It'll
Yeah.
all come out and then it'll all start to make sense. So every day, either sit with a pencil and paper, because I still think that's important. I
Oh, yeah.
prefer writing in a notebook and I write down just things that come to my mind. What do I want to write about the heart? The heart is this, the heart, maybe it's self awareness, maybe it's this. I put it down on paper. And then you look at that paper and it's like a jigsaw puzzle. You start to put the pieces together because everything that you're writing has some sort of importance. It's just that you don't realize it at the time. So if you sit down by a computer, you sit down and you say, okay, I'm writing a book on the heart. I'm going to start chapter 1. You're going to have a difficult time because you're going to constantly be looking at it, trying to edit it. No, that's not the way I wanted to say it. Do I want to look up this? Do I want to research that? Well, put those thoughts down. If you prefer pen and paper like I do,
Yes,
get
I
a journal, write it down. Then it'll all begin to make sense. I have about 40 some pages of information about my next book is going to be Heart Consciousness, Giving Your Heart the Attention It Deserves.
Wow, nice.
And I have all this, some things I looked up. What are some statistics about heart disease, about self awareness? I jot it down. Okay, I'm in bed and I'm thinking about, this could be important. Well, I get up and I do a voice note. I do keep my phone near my bed. I know a lot of people turn it off. Right now, I'm also using it as an alarm. But I found that it's also important that when ideas come to you, voice notes could be very important. And so I say, when I get up in the morning, do this, or this is an important piece. Let me connect this to this. And believe me, it all comes together. It's
Yep.
not really that difficult. It's just a matter of if you're passionate about it and you really want to do something, you could make it happen. And that's, I think, what every part of our life, if you're passionate, it's going to happen because you're going to find the way, find the time to be able to get that done. If you're not passionate, you're going to say, well, I'll do it tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And how many people have been writing a book for 100 years and they never write it because that's really not their passion. And I think that's where meditation comes in. And by meditation, I mean just sitting or lying quietly, focusing on your breath and not letting the thoughts that come into your mind disturb you. Don't focus on them. Thank them for coming. They came. Okay, goodbye. And I think that's where we learn what we're passionate about because we learn about ourselves. So from there, once we have that relationship with ourself, and that's our self-awareness, we know what ignites my fire, what doesn't. For some people, it may be taking a hike. I have no desire to take a hike anyway, because anywhere, unless it's on a beach, because I don't like the woods and I don't like what's in the woods. And I don't want to be stepping over stones and stepping over everything. That's not me. But yet I have colleagues and friends that I have a friend
Love
in Washington that hikes all the time. She's met up with mountain lions, everything else. No, I don't want that experience. So for me, a hike just isn't going to do it. It doesn't mean that I don't like to get out there and do things in nature. I prefer a water nature with beach and preferably clear water that I could see what I'm getting into. So that's me.
That's
And that's one of my passions. So know yourself, know your passions, and
Mhm.
don't try to turn yourself into something that you're not. It's just not going to work. The time I tried to hike, not only did I trip over a stone going over a little stream, I fell in the stream and sprained my ankle. So it was a good signal for me. That was the universe telling me, don't be something that you're not.
Don't be
So,
something. And that's it. The real deal is the way that you really enjoy things is by doing the things that you really love. It's different when you're doing it, I would say, for a spouse or a very good friend, and you just want to support them. And that's love when you're doing it out of a place of love. I love this individual and I want to see them happy. And as a result of seeing them happy, I will be happy when we really love them. But when it comes to us on a regular, that's not the norm. That's stepping out and just sacrificing yourself. But when it comes to your norm, your everyday, you gotta do the stuff that you really, really love to do, because in that lies your joy, and in that lies where you have fulfillment, and really, you just have peace, right? You have peace because you're not angry and frustrated because you are constantly doing stuff, because you keep allowing other people to pull you into their stuff,
mhm.
and then you're frustrated. So that's a sidebar. What I did want to do is shout out to Denise Johnson. Thank you for chiming in. Deborah Henson, thank you for chiming in. I need your email, Deborah. And Deraine, Pastor Deraine, thank you so much for chiming in. Kimberly, they all have thoughts. Just Right. Pastor Doreen says she keeps her phone by her bed because God gives you revelation, and so she makes notes of them like that. And I know that God always talks to me when I'm in the shower. I'm like, why now? I can't take a note, nothing. So he always does that to me. But you're so right in regards to everything that you said and shared. And just so thankful to have you a part of our team and offering your perspective, and things like that. Just really, truly appreciate you. And everyone, we appreciate you. We pray our words inspired you today, to be resilient. You know, that all of these things are going to be happening around you. But the key thing is to maintain your focus. I write off the cuff, so I just write as it's coming to me, and then structure it out. I'm like you, Teresa. I do believe in pen and paper. I think a little too much because I got so much pen and so much paper written everywhere, and I'm just trying my best not to keep all of that stuff, and just to put it in a publication, get it published. And so, anyway, love you guys so very much. This has been amazing,
Thank you.
Teresa. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for being with me today. And take care, guys, and be blessed. And make sure that you get it done. It's your life. Own it. This has been
Thank
the
you.
Author's Corner. We're out.